Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends. Yesterday, as you know, historic vote on the big, beautiful bill. It barely squeaked by, but it did pass 51-50. And it now, obviously, J.D. Vance was the tie-breaking vote. That's why they brought him up on Capitol Hill. 3 Judas Republicans. 3. Rand Paul of Kentucky, Tom Tillis of North Carolina, and was there ever any doubt? Was there ever any doubt? Of course, Susan Collins of Maine. The 3 Judases voted against the bill. Still, Vance delivered. 51 was he cast the tie-breaking vote, and now it moves to the House. You're going to see maybe even votes today, maybe votes tomorrow. We shall see. Johnson is hoping that he can deliver this for Trump by July 4th. Now, why am I mentioning all this? And you're saying, Jeff, what the hell does all of this have to do with Alligator Alcatraz? Because one of the key pillars of the bill that the House is going to be voting on, and I hope they pass it. Apparently, there are 7 to 10 House Republicans who have told Johnson they're a hard no. If that's the case, the bill is going to go down. So Trump is going to have to do a lot of cajoling. He's going to have to make a lot of phone calls, maybe do some arm twisting, some persuading, and get some of these no's to flip to a yes. Remember, the last vote on the bill in the House was 215 to 214. That squeaked by 1 vote. In the Senate, it squeaked by 1 vote. And now the House is going to vote again. They have to vote on the Senate version. If they change even any aspect of the bill, it goes back to the Senate for another vote. So for the House to deliver this by July 4th to President Trump, they have to accept the Senate version of the bill as is. So it's going to be some heavy lifting here. Hopefully they're going to deliver, fingers crossed. Now, one of the key pillars of both the House bill and especially now the Senate version, which the House is voting on, is $170 billion. That's with a B. 170 will now be directed towards border security, border enforcement, and implementing Trump's mass deportation agenda. And that's why Tom Homan, the border czar, is urging everyone to vote for the bill, to support the bill. Stephen Miller, Trump's top advisor, in many ways the architect of Trump's immigration and deportation policies, has now come out and said, if you want to repel this invasion, if you want to reverse the damage that Biden did, the bill does it. You must support the big, beautiful bill. It is loaded, absolutely loaded, with everything that is needed to repel this invasion and kick all of these illegal aliens out. And in particular, it gives $45 billion to complete and fortify the mother of all border walls. It will permanently seal the southern border. Furthermore, it will add thousands and thousands of ICE agents, border patrol agents, so they can not just secure the border, but they can enforce immigration law and start deporting millions of illegals en masse. They will have the manpower. They will have the resources. They will be able to go to sanctuary city after sanctuary city, sanctuary state after sanctuary state, and literally now start cleaning out millions of illegal aliens and sending them packing back home. What it also does, and this gets right now to Alligator Alcatraz, is it will build many more detention ICE facilities. So if you're going to be deporting thousands upon thousands of illegals every single day, there has to be a place to temporarily hold them, to detain them as they're being deported, as their cases are being adjudicated, as the process is slowly making its way. So what the bill also does is it enables them to build big, huge detention facilities to now deport all of these illegals, to hold them and then to deport them. One of the showcases was yesterday in Florida in what is known as Alligator Alcatraz. President Trump went down to Florida along with the DHS Secretary, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. They were met by Governor Ron DeSantis and Congressman Byron Donalds. And DeSantis and Trump obviously got along very well. He gave Trump a tour of Alligator Alcatraz. It is basically a refurbished airport. Very well, I have to say, very well remodeled and revamped. It is an impressive facility. There is only one way in. There is only one way out. It is surrounded by the Florida Everglades, full of alligators, hence Alligator Alcatraz, full of gators and pythons. So, and by the way, it's got first-rate medical equipment. It is air-conditioned, 62 degrees AC. That's even lower than what we have here in the studio. It's got, they're very well provisioned. Frankly, as DeSantis pointed out yesterday, the food, the provisions, the facilities, the comforts, the medical provision, the medical staff, and the medical equipment is better for these illegal aliens at Alligator Alcatraz than it is for any American citizen at a typical American prison. But that's not enough. That's not enough. No. Because according to the media and according to the Dems, they were going absolutely apoplectic, berserk. This is fascism. In fact, this is a modern day concentration camp. That's what this is. And so they argued that it was disgusting, that it was immoral, that having these inmates held at Alligator Alcatraz is, in fact, according to them, dehumanizing and is another step towards Trump's authoritarianism, his tyranny, his so-called dictatorship. Now, what the media is not telling you is that Alligator Alcatraz can hold about 5,000 illegal aliens. It is designed to hold the most vile of the criminal illegal aliens, the worst of the worst, the most violent of the violent, literally convicted gangbangers, convicted rapists and child molesters. That's why they want it in a very secure location where it is very hard for them to get out, almost impossible, because if they try to escape, they're going to get eaten by the alligators. And the reason why security is so high and they want it surrounded by the Everglades, as Stephen Miller brilliantly pointed out, and as Trump mentioned as well, he said, do you know how many riots there are at ICE detention facilities all over the country? Do you know how many times they break out and many of them manage to escape? You think we want murderers and MS-13 and Tren de Aragua butchers, members of the Mexican drug cartels? Terrorists are being held there. Literally, terrorists. You think we want rapists and child molesters to just be able to, whatever, in a downtown population or in a congested population to just potentially do a break? Say the cartels send in their people to try to free some of these cartel members and gangbangers. And then what? Have them rampage and do what God knows what kind of crimes they can commit and threaten ordinary Americans? That's why you have it in the location that it's in. at a formerly remote airport that is fortified with security and surrounded by the Everglades and the alligators. Listen now to President Trump saying, you know why I'm here? This is why I'm here. Roll cut 1A, Mike.
The 4 years before I took office, Joe Biden allowed 21 million people, that's a minimum, I think it was much higher than that, illegal aliens to invade our country. He invaded our country just like a military would invade. It's tougher because they don't wear uniforms. You don't know who they are. More than the populations of New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston, Phoenix, and Philadelphia combined. That's what came into our country from prisons, from mental institutions, from street gangs.
My God.
Drug dealers.
My God.
Disgusting.
My God. It is disgusting. Look, I think Alligator Alcatraz is needed. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I want to take calls. A couple lines are open, so once they fill up, I will take your calls, I promise. 617-266-6868. Listen now to Trump. He was touring so-called Alligator Alcatraz. By the way, the whole time, the media's freaking out. I mean, he's touring, he's looking, he then gives a press conference, and they're losing their minds. The Democrats are raging, absolutely raging. And so let me ask all of you right out of the gate, do you support Alligator Alcatraz? Do you think it's a good idea? It apparently has 3,000 beds for these illegal aliens or migrants that they're going to deport. It can actually hold 5,000 in all. And it is designed for the worst of the worst. These are the most violent of the violent criminal illegal aliens that Biden allowed into our country. These are people convicted already either in their home country or convicted here of the most heinous, serious, honestly disgusting crimes. So again, not to beat a dead horse, but these are members of the Mexican drug cartels. These are members of MS-13 or Tren de Aragua, which are now designated as terrorist organizations. These are literally convicted murderers, drug dealers, rapists, child molesters. That's why they want him in a faraway location with a lot of security and surrounded by the Everglades, i.e. the alligators. So if there is a jailbreak or an attempt to have one of these people escape or get out through the cartels or whatever, it's going to be impossible to come in and almost impossible to get out. Even if you manage to get out, as Trump said, you're most likely going to be eaten by a gator or a python, swallowed by a python, to be technical. Anyway, do you support it? Do you think it's a good idea? Or you think the Democrats are right on this? That this is immoral? It is disgusting, according to them. It is dehumanizing. This is the word they keep using over and over again. 617-266-6868. Listen now to Trump saying, I love the detention facility and I love the name. Roll cut 2, Mike.
It's known as Alligator Alcatraz, which is very appropriate because I looked outside and it's not a place I want to go hiking anytime soon. But very soon this facility will house some of the most menacing migrants, some of the most vicious people on the planet. We're surrounded by miles of treacherous swampland, and the only way out is really deportation. And a lot of these people are self-deporting back to their country where they came from. Quite a few. We're amazed at actually the number.
So, he's, he's saying we don't want him. We got to hold them before we deport them. That's what this is for. And, yes, I don't mind that it's in a remote place surrounded by gators. Like, Alcatraz was in, San Francisco, surrounded by water, was surrounded by sharks. It was a notorious prison for some of the worst criminals. In case some of them escaped, they would either drown or be eaten by sharks. And it worked. It worked. And I'm all for it. I don't want any of these people escaping if they're being held in a detention or an ICE facility. So I love it. In fact, I want Trump to build more of them, frankly. Now, listen to President Trump. He's asked point blank about Alligator Alcatraz, and is it necessary? Is this too much? Is this too violent? Is this now getting too tough to the point now that we're coming across as being brutal and sadistic? Listen to Trump's response. Roll cut 3A. Mike.
We have a lot of bad criminals that came into this country, and they came in stupidly. It was an unforced error. It was an incompetent president that allowed it to happen. It was an auto pen maybe that allowed it to happen, and it did happen. But we also have a lot of bad people that have been here for a long time, people that whack people over the head with a baseball bat from behind when they're not looking and kill them, people that knife you when you're walking down the street. They're not new to our country. They're old to our country. Many of them were born in our country. I think we ought to get them the hell out of here, too, if you want to know the truth. So maybe that'll be the next job that we'll work on together.
So, in other words, he is floating the idea that, once they deport all of the illegals and they undo the invasion of Biden, that maybe this could be converted eventually into a prison facility. Now, I want to stress this because the left is really demagoguing the issue. They're showing some of the so-called cages inside the facility. And they're saying, look at this, they're being held like animals. These are like animals the way they're being held. This is dehumanizing. This is torture. It's a concentration camp. Look at the facilities under Biden and under Obama. Remember, the cages started under Obama, where they were held outdoors in the heat. In the sweltering heat, often over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. This is all indoors. By the way, they all have a nice clean bed, air conditioned, 62 degrees, 3 square meals, plus snacks. I'm not kidding. They have doctors on staff, medical equipment on right there on standby. They have all the provisions. Everybody who has inspected this Alligator Alcatraz has said it has better conditions, better facilities, better medical and food and other equipment and services than an American prison for American citizens. So if this is somehow, quote unquote, torture, then every prison in America is a torture chamber. Every prison in America is a concentration camp. And by the way, that's what the radical left argues. That's why Mamdani, for example, Zohran Mamdani, one of his central pledges is abolish all prisons. If he's elected as mayor, he will push for every prison within New York City to be utterly opened and to release the criminals. So, no, I don't think it's inhumane. I don't think it's dehumanizing. I don't think it's barbaric. Quite the contrary. And by the way, these facilities, what they're being held in, a hell of a lot better. They get a much better medical care, much better food, much better clothes, much better beds, much better sanitary conditions than in their home countries, where they're going to go to jail, most of them. So I'm just saying, again, if this is torture, then I'm telling you, then we should just release every single prisoner in the United States of America. So, my question to you, 617-266-6868, do you support Alligator Alcatraz? Do you believe Trump should build more of them? And is this dehumanizing? Is this torture? Are we now watching modern-day concentration camps as the left claims? The lines are jammed. I'm going to take all of your calls on the other side. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, this is from Kyle on Messenger. Jeff. Many of you are having a lot of fun with this, I gotta say. How are Dems going to storm Alligator Alcatraz for a photo op? It's going to cost them an arm and a leg. That's a very good point, Kyle. This is Mark on a Messenger as well, and just dynamite. He's dead on. Jeff, I love how they're calling. I love how the left and the media are calling Alligator Alcatraz a quote-unquote concentration camp, per joyless Joy Reid. It's just a prison with much better facilities than most prisons. And the best part is, it's solely for illegal alien criminals. That's it. Also, they can make a decision to self-deport at the gate if they want and still get a free plane ticket and $1,000. In fact, they should build more of them, Jeff. Listen very quickly. The lines are jammed. I want to go to the phones, but listen now to President Trump saying, yeah, sure, they're gonna get eaten if they try to escape. Yeah, they're gonna get eaten. That's the point of the detention facility. That's the point of Alligator Alcatraz. Roll cut 7, Mike.
And with the Alligator Alcatraz, it's the idea that if some illegal immigrants escape, they just get eaten by an alligator or a snake or something.
I guess that's the concept. This is not a nice business. I guess that's the concept. If snakes are fast, but alligators are, we're going to teach them how to run away from an alligator, okay? If they escape prison, how to run away. Don't run in a straight line. Run like this. And you know what? Your chances go up about 1%. Okay? Not a good thing.
The question was the point is that, if they try to escape, they're going to get eaten by alligators or snakes. And he says, yeah, teach them how to run from an alligator. Don't run straight. And then with his hands, he's moving his hands like sort of like back and forth, like teach him to run more like sideways. He says, maybe your chances increase by 1%. In other words, you try to escape, you're going to get eaten. So don't try escaping. 617-266-6868. Larry in Leominster. You're going to kick us off, Larry. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Oh, good morning, Jeff. Hang on, Jeff. Pedro, zigzag, run, zig. Ah, crap. Well, good news, there's a new bed opening.
Larry, I got to tell you, I think the point is, I don't think you're going to see you're not going to see one jailbreak. No one is going to try to escape. I think that's the beauty of the whole thing. And honestly, Larry, already you've got illegals saying we're going to self-deport. You've got many illegals saying, I don't want to be sent to something like that. What are you, crazy? I'm going back to my home country. Larry, Alligator Alcatraz, in some ways, is it a brilliant strategic deterrence? It scares illegals from coming, and the illegals that are currently here, it scares them to self-deport because they don't want to be sent to a facility like this. What say you, Larry?
Well, yes, that is the idea, is deterrence. Think of how coddled these guys were when we had them in Guantanamo Bay, all the terrorists. They're playing soccer, they're doing they have all the amenities of home. Where's the incentive to say, I don't want to do that?
Now, Larry, do you think this is going to deter people from coming in? And many of these illegals here are going to say, yeah, they're going to capture me. ICE is going to get me, and they're going to stick me in something like this. And I don't want to be surrounded by alligators and pythons. No. It's, you know what? Guatemala looks better every day now. Do you think that's going to have that kind of an effect, Larry?
I think you're going to see more of it, and the ironic part is Trump gave them, 6 months to do it on their own? And now they're talking it's inhumane? Where was the inhumanity questions about when all these women and children were being essayed by the coyotes who ran them across the border. You know, they've got these trees that are dedicated to assaulting women. Isn't that inhumane? Where's their compassion for them?
Oh, that's a great point. Or what about was it inhumane when they came in and violated our rights and liberties and flooded our country with these illegals, murdering us, raping us, molesting us, bringing fentanyl in? How many Americans dropping dead? How many Americans being butchered and slaughtered? Then they weren't complaining when they let in these animals like MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. Notice, Larry, when they're killing Americans, then they're not inhumane. That's suck it up, Buttercup. But we start putting them in a detention facility and make sure they can't escape to deport them, and all of a sudden, look how they cry for illegals. They cry for illegals, but they hate Americans. Larry, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. And you're, I think it was Mark who messaged you. It's like, I can't wait to see AOC try to go and fake cry in the parking lot. You know, maybe she can get a selfie with a couple alligators, you know? Could we be so lucky, Jeff?
Larry, buddy, as always, dynamite call. Have a great 4th of July, my friend. And again, thank you for your service. 617-266-6868. Okay, Mike, who do you want me to go to next, buddy? Sal in Worcester. Thanks for holding, Sal, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff.
Sal.
Can you hear me? Hey, listen, this is my first time, and
welcome.
Let me express my...
Go ahead, Sal. Yes, welcome, Sal.
Thank you. Yeah, this is my first time on the show. I am kind of excited. Let me express my deepest condolences for the loss of your dad.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sal.
You're welcome. So on the topic, right? We need detention beds. That's a fact. Let's not forget that the death of Laken Riley was because, I don't remember the name of this animal, but he was paroled. I watched the hearing with Mayorkas. When Senator Josh Hawley put him in a corner and asked him if he knew the parole documents that he had in his hand. Because for the longest time he lied, saying that he wasn't paroled because of the lack of detention beds. But that was the reason. And the statute it's illegal to parole someone into the country with criminal record just because you don't have detention beds. That's a fact. And that's why Laken Riley, like others, is now dead. And she's never going to come back. So I'll go even further. So I am not 100%, 1,000% in favor of Alligator Alcatraz. And let me tell you something. I was watching a documentary on Natural World, whatever that show is called.
Is it National Geographic? Sal, is it National Geographic?
It was National Wildlife.
Yes.
Wildlife.
Yeah, National Geographic.
And,
yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because I'm reading all these things. You know that there are also sharks in those swamps? No, because people think that shark lives in the ocean, salty water. It's not true. As a matter of fact, the whole topic of that documentary was that sharks are now fighting with alligators. And so I would even facilitate the entering of sharks.
Sal, can you hang on? 617-266-6868 is the number. All right, Sal is on fire, my friend. We're going to go back to Sal in Worcester. He's got everybody cracking up. He says, not only does he love Alligator Alcatraz, a la Kuhner, I don't support it 100%, 1,000%. But now, watching National Geographic, Wildlife, he says people don't realize this, but the bull sharks are actually now kind of invading into the Everglades. And they're even fighting with the alligators. So not only are these vile, criminal, illegal aliens, if they try to escape from Alligator Alcatraz, they're not only going to deal with the pythons, the snakes, the alligators, they could even be eaten by sharks. Sal, please pick up, and you seem to like that idea, Sal. Please pick up where you left off, my friend.
Thank you. Try to run in a zigzag fashion against the shark. See what happens. Look, people are dumb. I swear to God. There's so much ignorance out there. These people think that, grandma that has been here for 20 years and, illegally she's going to be, there's not enough time. There's not enough resources, even when this bill passed the House, because he's going to pass the House. I guarantee you 1,000% that they're not going to go and deport people. The priority, if you listen to his campaign, was that we're going to have the largest mass deportation in United States history. Well, it's going to be that, but of criminals, they prioritize criminals that have been using the system, scamming the system. Like, we can't afford it anymore, on a humanitarian level and on a financial level. Having said that, I don't know if I can digress. I'll tell you a little story. I'll bring some internationality to the show. I have dual citizenship. My mom and dad came here in 1968, 67, and they were called by, I don't know if you know Worcester, but there's a tailor shop called Shack. And they are both tailors. They're still alive. They're old, but they're alive. And they came here with a working permit. Shack had to actually prove that he tried to look for tailors, and he couldn't find any. So he went south the country. My mom and dad came. I was born a year later. Why I'm saying that? Because a year after, I left, and I lived in Italy for 27 years. Now, get load of this. Growing up in Italy, we were going out with my friends, right? And I became real familiar with electrical pole that at 15 feet of height, they had the death sign, the skull with the two bones across.
Yes.
And underneath, in Italian, would say, chi tocca I fili muore. Translation, if you touch the wire, you're going to die. Why I'm saying that? Because when the wall is done, I would electrify that wall and put signs on, you touch it, you die. That's how I feel about sovereignty of the country. Immigration is very important. We're a melting pot. We're the best country in the world because of immigration. But it's got to be legal. It's got to be controlled. It's got to be vetted. I have 2 daughters, and God only knows how I feel about the safety of the American citizen, legal residents. The word legal is undermined all the time, and I am sick and tired of it. And the mass media are the worst enemy of the state. They're traitors because the lie I understand politicians lie all the time. It's part of the game. I get it. But the way the mass media and some Democrats are lying, it's an insult to.
You can't swear, buddy. I know it's your first time. By the way, you were fine. You were on fire. You were phenomenal. I got to tell you that. But no, please just say bull crap, BS. Sal, what are you trying to do? Get me fined? But Sal, listen, I agree with you. Not 100, as I'd like to say 1,000%. They've taken out the word legal. They're flooding our country with illegal aliens who are robbing us blind. They are milking our welfare system, our social services. Many of them are committing heinous crimes. They've turned the country into a joke. And Trump is now going to undo all of that. And I am with you all the way, Sal. And look, I agree with you. We've been too soft on criminal illegals for way too long. And things are going to change. And they are changing. Sal, please don't be a stranger, my friend. Call again. Dynamite call. 617-266-6868 is the number. Look, let me ask all of you this, okay? It's kind of funny, but I am serious at the same time. It's both serious and funny. Should they build more of these? And I don't just mean like in the Everglades. I'm talking about, Sal mentioned sharks, right? I know his point was you got bull sharks that are going into the Everglades and fighting with the gators. And so these guys are going to have to, if they try to run away or escape, they're going to be battling not just snakes and gators, they're going to be battling sharks. But no, look, there are sharks off the coast of Florida. build another Alcatraz there. Or, build an Alcatraz somewhere in California or whatever. In other words, build them in places, say, in shark-infested waters. I don't know. Would you support that? And we can call it maybe Shark Shawshank. That, by the way, that's Mike's idea. Mike says, Jeff, come on, man. We should build more of these, but this time put them in places where there's sharks. Like the original Alcatraz. So you're not just surrounded by water, but if you happen to jump into the water to try to escape, you're going to get eaten alive. So, let me ask, and then, now, do you have any other suggestions? Here, look, I got Panther Prison. Sandy Shack likes this one a lot. Sandy was saying, hey, Jeff, Florida has a lot of panthers. You also have a lot of places, say, out in the Mountain West. A lot of panthers. Put a detention facility there in the wilderness, surrounded where all the panthers are, or the mountain lions. And if they try to escape, the panthers will eat them. Or Alaska. It's, up in the north. It's freaking cold. It's almost like our version of Siberia. Put one up there and surrounded by the polar bears. And we can call it Polar Prison. And so if they try to escape, A, you're going to freeze to death. And B, you're basically dinner for a polar bear. So should we have more of these across the country and use wildlife, whatever it's panthers, polar bears, take your pick, sharks, in this case, alligators, as a way to scare illegals, deter illegals, and prevent them from escaping. I think it's an incredible idea. I would love to build dozens more of these across the country. And I want to ask all of you, what are some of your names and recommendations? I like Shark Shawshank. I think that'd be good. I know Trump's people are listening. Panther Prison, that's a very good one. I like Polar Prison. Put one in Alaska. There's a lot we can do. There's a lot of places out there. Look, I don't know about you. I hate snakes. I really hate snakes. Rattlesnakes in particular. Like whenever I visit my family out in Arizona, that's the only thing I don't like about Arizona is if we go hiking or someplace more in the, in the wilderness or, in a natural, environment. I'm like, ugh, I don't, if I see a rattlesnake, I'm like, eee. You put one of these babies right there in the desert in Arizona, and it's surrounded by rattlesnakes. I'm not escaping. I don't care who busts me out. I'm like, nah, I'll stay here. It's got the AC. I get 3 meals a day. I get a nice cot, nice bed, a little bit of a TV to watch. I'm good. I don't want to roast out there in the heat and God forbid get, bitten or stung by a rattlesnake. So I hate rattlesnakes. I can deal with a lot, but I can't deal with rattlesnakes. But that's me. 617-266-6868 is the number. Verna in Arlington. Thanks for holding, Verna, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. Good morning, everybody.
Hi,
Good
Verna.
morning, Sandy. Good morning, Mike. I am laughing around this, but I do have some serious stuff to say. First of all, I will say I will go one step further than you. Not 100, not 1,000, but 1,000,000% agreed. All the way, baby. And let's what about that old movie, Alcatraz? We need to show that. I haven't seen that in a long time, too. But what I wanted to bring up, too, is these Democrats, these liberals, these people are cuckoo, crazy. Are they, like, nuts? I remember back to, again, being a Soviet student, back in the Soviet Union, the early 70s, late 60s, hearing the stories about all the black carts that would come in the dark at night and cart people off to Siberia, and you'd never hear them again. You'd never hear of them again. And these people really had no way of escaping. And if they did, they had to cross thousands and thousands and thousands of miles. So I just want to say these folks are very fortunate. You know, look at compare to Hitler, compare to Stalin, compare to the Soviet Union, to China, to what they do with their prisoners there and the torture. This is, you know, the elite of the elite prison, if you will, and they're giving all their, you know, they've been given all these good things to, anyway. So Democrats, the liberals need to like get a brain check, complete brain check. So I just wanted to point that out. 1,000,000%, let's go, baby, Alcatraz all the way, and wherever you can do it, even in Siberia or wherever, you know, to scare these people off, to give them the fear of God and the fear of punishment, and to stop all of this going on. So I just wanted to say all of that.
Well, you know, Verna, honestly, just to piggyback, and, you know, you're completely right about Siberia. You know, a lot of these illegals, I don't know why. To me, as I said, a rattlesnake, that's, I mean, gators, yeah, of course, but snakes, I don't know why. I hate snakes, okay? What they fear the most, I mean, the gators are scaring the hell out of them, but they really don't like the cold. You talk to ICE agents, and they'll tell you, they go, look, really, you wouldn't believe it, but the thought of sending them to a northern climate, like a really cold place where it's like frigid outside, I guess maybe that's where most of them from. They come from very hot climates. The thought of it is just like it's a nightmare for them. So I'm thinking, what the hell? Put them someplace in northern Alaska. Beautiful. We can do 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 beds. You know, it's snowing all the time. It's freezing. The Mexican drug cartels aren't breaking anybody out of there. And you look at these illegals, they don't want, no one is going to bust out of that. No one. They're going to look outside and say, it's 50 below zero. No, we're staying. And that the polar bears are licking their chops. I can see them 100 yards away. They're waiting for us. Verna, I'd stick a couple in northern Alaska. What do you say?
Absolutely. Antarctica, Arctica, all the way. Whatever.
Verna, thank you very much for that call. You know, if Trump does buy Greenland, seriously, I'd say put a couple in Greenland. No one's getting out of there, I'll tell you this. 617-266-6868. Really, and we'll just call it Polar Prison. So you got Alligator Alcatraz, you got Polar Prison. You know, you build a couple more of these, I'm telling you, the illegals are going to be like, just get me the hell out of here. I don't want to be caught by ICE. Do you understand? Let's deport now. Self-deport now. Brad in Brookline. Thanks for holding, Brad, and welcome.
Hello, Kuhner.
Brad, how are you, my friend?
Kuhner, peace. Peace.
Go ahead, Brad. Go ahead. Peace, my friend.
Yeah. This is what I particularly like about Trump with this alligator thing. I mean, I know this is going to sound weird, but in this way, Trump is my ideal candidate because I want a candidate who's like the Three Stooges up against all those stuffed shirts. And Trump sort of fits that bill for me.
You mean he drives them crazy, right?
Yeah. I want someone who will throw pies in their face, poke out their eyes, and POTUS does that. I'm sorry, it's just where I am.
Well, Brad, let me ask you: Do you support Alligator Alcatraz? Do you think? It's a good idea?
It's far out. Hey, you be careful of those things. First, they move fast. And also, there was a film taken. One guy threw a dead rat in an alligator cage at the zoo, and the alligator gave his big smile and chomped up the rat. I mean, these are interesting creatures.
Oh, they don't mess around, Brad. No, they don't. Brad, here, I'm going to go out on a limb, Brad. All right, you can hold me to this, my friend. Since you and I are now smoking a peace pipe together, my buddy. Nobody is getting out of Alligator Alcatraz. Nobody. I don't care. You could put Pablo Escobar in there. You can put the head of the Sinaloa Mexican drug cartel. I don't care who you put in there. Nobody's getting out of Alligator Alcatraz. Brad, that, my friend, you can hold me to it. Because I'll tell you this, if I'm there, I'm like, guys, I'm not getting out. What are you, nuts? Brad, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. 617-266-6868 is the number. If the pythons don't kill you, the gators will kill you. If the gators don't kill you, the bull sharks will kill you. So you're dead. Pick your poison. And I gotta ask, really, I don't know what's worse. Like, if you were to say to me, Jeff, it's over now. This is it. It's your last day. You're going to die. We're releasing you. We're throwing you out of Alligator Alcatraz. No, we're throwing you into the Everglades. That's it now. It's survival of the fittest. Do you want to die by a python? You want to get swallowed by a python? Do you want to get chopped up by a gator? Or do you want to be eaten by a shark? I'm like, I don't. I guess. What's the quickest way to go? Really, I'd say, could you shoot me? That's really. Could you guys could we do it by firing squad? Could we, maybe a hanging? Whatever you guys want to do. I don't like to have an arm taken off and then a leg taken off, and I'm like, the blood is pouring out. Hey, I'm no tough guy. Make it quick and make it fast and do a good job. Quick and clean, please. A firing squad will do. 617-266-6868. Tim in the great state of South Carolina. Thanks for holding, Tim, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff, and thanks again. Always a pleasure. I'm going to give you a little bit of a different angle.
Yes,
go ahead. I'm not complaining. I'm very happy. This is excellent what's happening, but a different angle.
Go ahead, Tim.
If I was living in a perfect world, I would want the illegals, the criminals, to be deported immediately, just out of the country instead of us subsidizing them. With that said, though, that does not mean the new prison is a waste of money. Do you know who I want in there? I want Mayorkas in there. I want the unselect committee in there. I want is it Eric Swalwell? I want the Obamas in there. There was to use the words of the fake president, the previous fake president, there was a gazillion-dollar wedding last weekend. At least a gazillion dollars. Okay? I want the attendees of that wedding in there. I want the Soroses in there. Anyway, that's just thinking in a perfect world.
No, look, Tim, I'm with you. In fact, it's you read my mind. And that's what I was thinking last night. I said, look, these are the most violent, the worst of the worst criminal illegal aliens, okay, that they're going to be put at Alligator Alcatraz. So I get it. They're violent scum. Okay, there's no question. But, I don't know if you saw the press conference, but yesterday at Alligator Alcatraz, where Trump is now putting pressure through Kristi Noem on Pam Bondi to go after Mayorkas. And it was Kristi Noem. I got to tell you, she's tough. Kristi Noem keeps rising in my book. And Kristi Noem threw it out there at that presser saying, the one that really helped open up the border under Biden, it was Mayorkas. And that was illegal. It was unconstitutional. How many American lives died as a result? How many lives were lost? How many lives destroyed? We know about Laken Riley. We know about Joycelyn Nungare. But that's the tip of the iceberg. This man deserves to be in prison. And then Trump was like, yeah, we should open an investigation. And so Kristi Noem and Trump are putting pressure now on the Department of Justice. According to Kristi Noem, they are now looking to coordinate with the DOJ to put Mayorkas behind bars. And I swear to you, God is my witness. They should stick him in Alligator Alcatraz. He really deserves it. I mean, what the man did was absolutely unforgivable. And you mentioned all these other people. You're completely right. The Obamas and the Soroses and the Clintons, and we could go on and on. But someone's got to pay, Tim. I'm sorry. It just, at this point, honestly, I'm not even picky. You got higher standards than I do. I'm serious. I'm not even picky at this point. I'm just like at a buffet line. I'm like, I'll eat anything. You want the good stuff. I understand that. I'll just, at this point, make any arrest. Anyone. I don't care. Anyone. I don't care if it's Mayorkas. Somebody. I want somebody to be held accountable. Just one for the border invasion and the betrayal of our country that they did in the last 4 years before Trump got into power. So, Tim, I'm with you all the way. And thank you again, my friend. Always a good call. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay. You got to hear this. Coming up next, you're not going to believe now what Trump said about Elon and what Elon said about Trump. We got Truth or Troll coming up. We're also going to take more of your calls. 617-266-6868. The left, the media, and the Dems now go berserk, saying that Alligator Alcatraz is inhumane, it's dehumanizing, it's wrong, it's illegal. They want to shut it down. Just as it opened up yesterday, do you support Alligator Alcatraz? 617-266-6868. Okay, it's Wednesday, 7:18-ish, 7:20-ish, really. You know what that means. Truth or troll. Take it away, Mike.
And now, America's favorite game show, where you get to decide on the Kuhner Report. This is Truth or Troll.
Today's entry for Truth or Troll comes from President Trump speaking to reporters yesterday at the White House before going to Alligator Alcatraz when he is asked about the possible deportation of who else but Elon Musk.
I don't know. I think we'll have to take a look. We might have to put Doge on Elon. You know what Doge is? Doge is the monster that might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible? He gets a lot of subsidies, Peter. But Elon's very upset that the EV mandate is going to be terminated. And you know what? When you look at it, not everybody wants an electric car. I don't want an electric car. I want to have maybe gasoline, maybe electric, maybe a hybrid, maybe someday a hydrogen. If you have a hydrogen car, it has one problem. It blows up, So I'm going to give that one to Peter. I'm going to let Peter test it out.
So what do you think, Jeff? It sounds like he might want to deport Elon Musk. I think he's trolling. But what do you think?
Well, I think, Mike, how do I say this? He's half trolling. This is the way, I'm not trying to weasel out of it, but I think obviously he and Elon now really can't stand each other. And he's really angry at Elon because Elon now is doing everything he can to sabotage the big, beautiful bill, including, as you know, he's now come out and really threatened some of these very vulnerable House Republicans, saying, you vote for the big, beautiful bill, and I'm going to pour millions to primary you. And so Trump feels like, hey, man, you're going to sabotage the bill, and with it, my presidency. So I think half of them is like, he can't stand the guy. So I think that is real. No. Is he going to deport Elon Musk? On what grounds? Like, what did he's a naturalized American. He's been here for decades. On what grounds are you going to strip him of his citizenship and deport him? So, yeah, in the end, I agree with you, Mike. I think he is trolling. But I want to ask you, the great audience of Kuhner Country, Trump now says he's open to deporting Elon Musk, the richest man in the world. So, do you think he's trolling? He's just trying to get into Elon's mind and just sort of, make him think about it a little bit as he tries to undermine and sabotage Trump? Or do you think he's serious? He really wants to maybe deport Elon and kick him out of the country. So, A, trolling, B, the truth. I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, KUH, N as in national ER. You can also vote via X. I'm very active on X. Again, I was active last night. My handle there, all one word, at the Kuhner Report, KUH, N as in national ER, at the Kuhner Report, KUHNER. Okay, very quickly. A lot of you very creative. Jeff, how about we do Brown Bear Big House? This one, Jeff, in Wyoming. You guys, a lot of brown bears in Wyoming. So put one of these, illegal immigrant detention facilities up there. It's in the wilderness. And if you try to escape, the bears will eat you. It won't be the gators like in Florida. It'll be the bears. Now, this is another one. And a couple of you have said this, sent it into the Kuhner Man. Jeff, let's do the gang gulag. Put it like in downtown L.A. or the south side of Chicago or maybe downtown Detroit. If anyone tries to escape, don't worry about it. The Bloods or the Crips or whatever gang, they'll take care of them for us. If you ever saw that movie, it was big, was in the late 70s or early 80s. What was it called? Warriors. And it was this gang that got caught on the wrong side of New York and they had to get back to their turf. And it was just one gang after another kept trying to kill them. Well, I think that's what gang gulag. It's like, yeah, you may get out of here, but can you get through our gangs? Huh? Maybe you guys, you MS-13 guys, I don't know if you can take care of our gangs. Survival of the fittest. 617-266-6868. Okay, Craig on Messenger messaged me, Jeff, there are also anacondas in the Everglades. I didn't know that. Craig, you just taught me something. I knew there were pythons, but I had no idea there were anacondas. Anaconda, Jeff, will swallow you whole. Yep, it's great. See, that's another reason. I'm telling you, I hate snakes. I hate of any kind. No, I don't want to be swallowed by an anaconda. It's a nightmare for me. No, I'm never breaking out of here, period. Full stop. All right, one more, and then I want to go right back to the phone lines. This is from Eric. Jeff on Messenger. Jeff, the only thing missing at Alligator Alcatraz is 24/7 Christmas music. Can you imagine? I swear, Ron DeSantis would do something like this. The Trump's people, if they're listening, you really should be playing Christmas music around the clock. Just to, keep it, torture these guys a little bit. 617-266-6868. Okay, let me do a quick reset, and I promise I want to go and take all of your calls. They're on a jihad. There's no other way to say it. A political jihad. The media, Democrats, liberals now, freaking out. There's just no other way. Losing their minds. Absolutely enraged and infuriated at the opening of Alligator Alcatraz. It's a illegal immigrant detention facility that is going to be run by the Department of Homeland Security, ICE, in cooperation with the state of Florida. It houses or will house or detain up to 5,000 criminal illegals, the worst of the worst, really the most violent of the criminal illegals, as they are detained and eventually deported out of the United States. Do you support it? It is surrounded by the Everglades, anacondas, pythons. Okay, the left on an absolute rampage against so-called Alligator Alcatraz and detention facility in the Florida Everglades. Has been completed. Yesterday was the opening. It will house up to 5,000 violent, convicted, criminal, illegal aliens. As I said, really the worst of the worst. Listen now. And by the way, it's surrounded by the Everglades. There's only one way in. There's only one way out. If they try to escape or if there's an attempt to break them out, you're surrounded by alligators, anacondas, pythons, bull sharks, you name it. It is very dangerous, treacherous, and really deadly terrain. Listen now. This is Tom Foreman on CNN. I could play you 50 cuts. I'm just going to play you one. Roll cut 24. Mike.
What makes it so controversial is first of all, there are complaints from the local community to some degree about people saying this is, in a way, suggesting that Florida itself is unwelcoming. This is within spitting distance of the Everglades National Park, where they try to draw many, many tourists. So to suggest it is such a forbidding environment is a bit challenging for some people there. Environmental groups have raised questions about whether or not this will be good for the environment down there. The governor has said, look, it's an old airfield. We're not going beyond the airfield. Of course, it's going to be fine. Although there's still question about water. Indigenous communities down there have said this is important land to their history. Notably, they would say they were pushed off by the first immigrants who are now saying we're going to house other immigrants there. So there are a lot of questions like that, including Florida Republican Congress members who have seemed to question whether or not they really think this is a good idea. The bottom line, though, for many people is this idea that it is a sort of performative cruelty, in a sense to demean the people who are sent there.
It's just incredible. I mean, look at this. It's sick. It really is. It's sick. I mean, I'm laughing. I'm chuckling because they're such idiots. I'm sorry, but that's what they are. This guy, Tom Foreman, sounds like Bill and Sudbury. You know, the indigenous people aren't happy. It's alligators and anacondas. Well, what are we arguing over? You know, environmental groups. They always bring in the environmentalists. You're going to upset the local balance. The alligators will be eating people and not other wildlife. We can't do that. The alligators are going to get too fat eating the crazy, eating the criminal illegals. We can't have that. And then, it's performative cruelty. And it's meant to notice how he keeps calling them immigrants. They're just immigrants. What are you doing here? You're just sticking immigrants in there. And it's like, it's just demeaning to the immigrants who've been sent there. First of all, get it through your thick skull once and for all. They're not immigrants. I'm an immigrant. Okay? I'm an immigrant who came to this country legally and had proper background checks and vetting. And I support myself and my family. I've never taken a penny in welfare or unemployment and I am a naturalized citizen. I am an American citizen who came to this country the right way. They are illegal aliens. Comprende? Capiche? Do you understand? So they're not immigrants. They're invaders. They're foreigners. They're people who have no business being in our country. But we're not talking about, as Sal said maybe about almost an hour ago, we're not talking about grandma or a single mom with 2 kids. We're talking about MS-13 murderers, Trans-Aragua terrorists, fentanyl dealers, literally convicted murderers. Okay? People who've raped women, multiple rapes. Child rapists, child molesters. So let me get this straight. When a parent has to go to the morgue, an American has to go to the morgue to identify their child. Here, take poor Jocelyn Nungare's mom. Let's just use her as an example. She has to go and try to identify her child at a morgue, who has been raped and then literally butchered, her body cut up into pieces by savages like these criminal illegals that came in. That wasn't demeaning to Joycelyn? No. When Laken Riley got murdered in a savage, heinous way, that wasn't demeaning to her? It's not demeaning to the parents where they got to identify their kids and live with the horror and the loss and the pain? It's not demeaning to us? No. But look how they go out of their way. This is what I mean. It's sick. Who are you defending? The guys with the gang tattoos on their face? With a rap sheet as long as my arm? Who've committed some of the most unspeakable crimes? And you're like, that's demeaning. How dare you? What? So you want to put him in an American prison? Okay. It's better, literally. Do you know they have ice cream sandwiches? You got to see what they're getting at this so-called concentration camp. Let me tell you, my grandfather was at a concentration camp, okay? He barely survived it. First under the Nazis and then 3 years under the commies. He would kill. If I could bring my grandfather back from the dead and say, Grandpa, listen, this is a concentration camp. You want to do your 3 years at the Alligator Alcatraz? He would run in. He would run over the heads of the alligators to get in there. 3 square meals. By the way, bacon and eggs and toast for breakfast. Okay? Sandwiches for lunch. A good dinner. Ice cream sandwiches, treats. Diet Coke. I'm not kidding. Sodas, milk, water, orange juice, apple juice. They get television. It's 62 degrees. It's air conditioned. They're not outside. They're inside. The place is so clean you can lick it. You can eat off the floor. So the conditions there are better than in most in fact, in practically every American prison. So again, I'm sorry. I'm just calling it as it is. Again, the illegals are treated better than American citizens. I'm not dumping on Alligator Alcatraz. I'm just saying. It's actually the standards there are higher than they are for most prisons. And it's like, you don't treat people like this. I mean, again, just when you think CNN couldn't go any lower, you can never hate them enough. That's the thing about the fake news. You can never hate them enough. And Sal is right again, the previous caller, one of the previous callers. The way they lie. Like, really, you listen to this idiot. I'm sorry, but you're insulting my intelligence, man. Like, really, like anybody with a normal, average IQ looks at this and says, you're going out on a limb for murderers and gangbangers and drug dealers and members of the Mexican drug cartels? The most violent transnational gangs on the face of the earth? Who gang rape women for sport? Who literally mass graves of dead bodies? Of dead Americans? And you're going like, this is cruel. Those ice cream sandwiches. They only offer them chocolate with vanilla on the inside. It's not chocolate with chocolate on the inside. This is unacceptable. What? Only Coke and Diet Coke? No Cherry Coke? This is not America. I'm sorry, man, but this is becoming, it's insane. We're living in a mental asylum. That's what the media is. The inmates are running the asylum. So, look, you want the honest truth? We're too good. Again, we're too good. Now, all you got to do is ask the inmates. Ask them. Compare this to that Supermax prison in El Salvador. Would you rather be at Alligator Alcatraz or the Supermax in El Salvador? 617-266-6868 is the number. Philip on Cape Cod. Thanks for holding, Philip, and welcome.
Thank you, Jeff. How are you?
Very good, Philip.
Good.
I had an idea for detention facilities that the Navy has what they call floating barracks that are actually large barges that house thousands of sailors. And they're starting to retire these things because they're getting old and they're infested with roaches and bed bugs. But I thought that would be a great facility. They are mobile, so we could head it down towards Venezuela and make a few stops in Mexico and El Salvador.
Philip, I like it. I got a couple people on Messenger, especially Andy. Andy on Messenger said, Jeff, just to piggyback off of what you're saying, he's thinking Northern Maine. Why Northern Maine? He says it's black fly season. So you stick them out there and expose them to the black flies during black fly season. No one's going to want to get out of that, Phil. I'll tell you this, Philip. I mean, so, we put them on the water, we put them on land. There's many ways. But, look, you're right. It's, we can start deterring these people. We do a couple of these, and I'm telling you, you're going to see many of them self-deport. Like, it just shows all you need is a little bit of tough action. And if we do that, we can get this problem under control very quickly. Philip, I'm just curious. They're waging a propaganda war. That's why they're going on about Alligator Alcatraz, and it's dehumanizing, and it's wrong, and it's immoral, and it's cruel. And Philip, do you think this is going to work with the American people? Or do you think they see right through it?
No, I think they see through it, and may have worked a year or two ago, but everyone has been awakened to some degree, and I think is tired of what the media is doing, and maybe these floating barges could get a little media exposure, and we call it SS MAGA, and we could fly Trump flags from it. But no, I think the media has lost all credibility at this point, and at this point, they're just talking to themselves.
I agree. No, I agree. Philip, really good call. Thank you for that call, and have a happy 4th, Phil. Maria in Ludlow. Thanks for holding, Maria, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. Good morning.
Maria, how are you?
I'm okay, honey. First of all, happy 4th of July.
Yes, same to you. All the best to you and your family, Maria.
Thank you. Same to your family and yourself. I had someone tell me, I don't understand what's so great about celebrating 4th of July the way America is. I was like, what? I am going to be celebrating like no one's business. I am going to be laying by the pool. I'm going to be making some dogs and burgers. I am going to be having the American music on. I'm going to be sending some little firecrackers. I'm going to be enjoying myself. Happy birthday, America. She was beside herself. But another thing, I think that I like Elon Musk and I love Trump. I think both of them, they need to be put in a room alone and hatch out the differences and let's kiss it up and be buddies again, because Dodge, Elon was a big part of Dodge. He started this whole thing up, and I think they just need to kiss and make up. I know there's differences. Let's agree to disagree and move on, move forward. About that thing in Florida, I mean, these people are insane. A lot of people are saying, oh, that's so humane. What about the one Obama and Biden did? They literally put people in cages like animals. Was that not humane? I mean, what was the problem? What's the difference? Well, it's such hypocrisy that it drives me nuts. I mean, these people are going to have 3 meals a day. They're going to be living in great conditions, unlike our Americans that are imprisoned in other countries that are living in poor conditions and being tortured, and no one is saying a peep about it. What's so great about that?
Oh, you're dead on, Maria. You're dead on. You're dead on. You're like, as usual, you're the voice of reason and common sense. You're absolutely dead on. And look, they're indoors. They're not outdoors. Obama held them in cages outdoors. I'm just stating a fact. In the sweltering heat. And they're indoors. It's AC. It's really, I mean, it's super comfortable. In fact, the reporters had to admit, they were commenting, they're like, it's even cooler here than in the offices that we work back at, at our news organizations. So, they're trying to conjure up, it's the Everglades and they're outside in the 110-degree heat and they're sweating like pigs. And then, there's 6 feet away from them is a gator with and he's snapping his jaws and, oh my God, they're going to, get their hands eaten off or bitten off. They're inside. It's a detention facility. They have cooks. They have food. They have medical personnel. They have the latest medical equipment. They've got recreation. They've got TV. Look, I mean, yes, they're surrounded by the Everglades. There's a lot of alligators. Yes, it's a deterrent, of course. Yes. But, they're not holding, they're not holding some 65-year-old grandma who's a border jumper. They're literally, I mean, just look at them. Just the tattoos on them tell you everything you need to know. It's MS-13. It's Tren de Aragua. It's members of the Mexican drug cartels. They behead people. They slaughter people. They murder people. They rape people. These are the scum of the earth, some of the most violent criminals imaginable, with a body count that you couldn't believe done to Americans. So, yeah, of course you lock them up. You make sure that it's a fortified facility. And that's what Ron DeSantis said. No one's going to get them out. Because first of all, it's one way in, one way out. It's highly secure. There's no way they're going to come in. But even if they do, or there's a jailbreak, okay, go ahead. You're going to get eaten by anacondas or alligators or sharks. Go ahead. And look at the PR value of this. And that's why, again, Trump is a genius. Everybody's talking about the gators and how they're surrounded by the gators. And they'll be eaten by the gators if they try to escape. Do you know how that's scaring so many illegals? They're going to say, hey, I don't want no piece of that. Let's go back. We're not welcome here. Let's go back. So it's win, win, win. And I can play you the cut. I don't want to waste people's time. Trump was asked, well, how long do you want this facility to be open? And he said, look, I'm going to give you a very politically incorrect answer. I'm supposed to give you a time frame. And I goes, honestly, I don't care. He said this openly. I don't care. When we get all the illegals out, I don't care what they do with it. He then pointed to Ron DeSantis and said, look, Ron, you're probably going to have to, integrate it into your prison system. He goes, it's unfortunate, but, you have criminals. Florida has a lot of people, big, it's a highly populated state. You're going to have, some bad criminals. So you're probably going to use it for your prison system eventually. But he says, honestly, that's going to be up to you. I just want to get these illegals out, and the most violent and the most dangerous out. After that, what they do with this, I don't care. So, he's like, look, he's even saying, look, I don't want to do this. Trump keeps saying this. Biden brought them in. And I played the cut earlier, but I just want everybody, please, just sit back objectively. Biden brought in 4 years, the illegal alien population the size of Chicago, L.A., New York, and Philadelphia combined. Think of the size of those cities, how many people. And that's why Trump's like, he goes, do you understand how many illegals he flooded our country with? So how many criminals are amongst them? How many gangbangers? How many terrorists? How many people who are mentally ill? And that's why he's saying, don't you see? They're like in New York, they're walking around with baseball bats. They're mentally ill. They're out of their minds. Venezuela literally emptied out their mental asylums. And they're smashing people on the back of the head with a baseball bat. Or pushing people in subways. And they're being crushed underneath the subway. And he's like, what? I'm just supposed to let them, walk around and keep doing this at will? So, no, we're going to detain them, and then we're going to deport them. And the worst of the worst are going to go to Alligator Alcatraz. And the whole country's saying amen. And the media is trying to make it seem, I'm not kidding. I can play you the clips. They're saying this is an American Auschwitz. This is an American Buchenwald. Like this is a, quote, modern day concentration camp. You're crazy, man. That's what I say to all these liberals. You're crazy. I don't know if you're on drugs. I don't know if you're mentally ill. I don't know if you're so stupid I can't do anything for you. You're beyond hope. But here, ask the Jews. Ask the few Holocaust survivors that are left. Ask them. Did you get 3 square meals a day? 62-degree AC? Tell me, did you get ice cream sandwiches? Tell me, did they ask you, what do you want? Water, orange juice, apple juice? You get bacon and eggs for breakfast? Did you get clean clothes every day on a clean bed? Did you get TV? Is that what you got? Is that what Auschwitz was like for you? I'm sorry, it's sick. Really, it's sick. Maria, as always, thank you very, very much for that call. Okay. Let me just very quickly, because there's a couple of other stories I do want to touch on that are very important. But to me, what this really symbolizes, and I want to give a hat tip to Sandy, because she's the one that made that point to me yesterday. And I just want to play a cut. And I think it says it all. Really, it just says it all. The difference between Biden and Trump, the difference between the Biden regime and the Trump administration. And so, remember, under Biden, you had the Biden migrant hotels. That is the lasting symbol, the lasting meme of the Biden years. We didn't just let them flood our country, all these illegals, but we literally put them up in 4 5-star hotels in Boston, in New York, in Chicago, in cities all around the country. And we gave them catered meals and EBT cards and free health insurance and literally free Ubers. They can, like a driving service and free dry cleaning and maid service. Okay? So Biden, the illegals in a luxury hotel. That's one side of the screen. The other side of the screen is Trump and Alligator Alcatraz. That's the two different Americas. One puts illegal aliens and criminals in luxury hotels paid for by you and me, the taxpayer. And the other one says, we're going to deport the worst of the worst. And we're going to stick them in a detention facility surrounded by alligators, anacondas, and bull sharks. In other words, don't mess with the USA. Listen now to Trump. This was at Alligator Alcatraz. And he said, look, you want to know how we paid for this? Here's how we paid for it. We took the FEMA money that Biden had allocated for the migrant hotels. He wasn't even using FEMA money to help Americans in a natural disaster. No. He was giving it to put up to put up illegals at the Holiday Inn. And we said, no more money for the Holiday Inn or these other 4 or 5-star hotels. It's going to go now to a big detention facility right here in the Everglades. Roll cut 2A, Mike.
We took the FEMA money that Joe Biden allocated to pay for the free luxury hotel rooms, where he's paying hundreds of millions of dollars in New York City, and we used it to build this project. And, Your Honor, it was just a little fraction of that money, the money they spent on that project.
So even, he's saying even then it was just a fraction of the money that they were spending just in New York at the hotels. One city in the hotels. And he said, we just took a fraction of that FEMA, just a little bit. And look at this. It's a huge facility, completely safe, modern, fortified, and can hold up to 5,000 criminal illegal aliens. I mean, ay, ay, ay. Really, ay, ay, ay. Dave in Revere. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you, Dave?
Jeff, I'll tell you, the first resident of Alligator Alley I would like to see are the people who put the burqa on top of the Statue of Liberty. I thought Statue of Liberty was federal property, Jeff. Who gives anybody the right to even do that? Jeff, I am in 100% favor of Alligator Alley. Because, Jeff, they also got quicksand there. So it won't be just the gators and snakes. They got the quicksand all over the Everglades. Put more of them up. Put every southern state has quicksand, Jeff. They all got Everglades. Put more of them up all the way around, no matter which side of the fence they're on. Jeff, I never got an ice cream sandwich when I was locked up back in the days. You know, I want an ice cream sandwich.
Well, let me ask everybody. I mean, seriously, has the government ever paid for an ice cream sandwich for you? Or you know, bacon and eggs? Or, I'm not kidding, or turkey or tuna sandwiches, or, you know, meatloaf and mashed potatoes. I'm looking at their menu. That's what they serve these guys. Meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and gravy with peas or carrots. Like, that's, and this is a concentration camp. I'm like, oh, get lost. So, you know, Dave, really, look, you know, a lot of people are making this point. I'm not the only one. They're saying, you look at how these are the worst illegals imaginable. And they're saying, literally, they're treated better than most American prisoners, American citizens in American prisons. Dave, are these people wrong? I mean, I know you spent a little bit of time. Were you guys treated as well in prison as they're being treated at the Alligator Alcatraz?
Nah, Jeff. Matter of fact, the closest I ever came to air condition was during the blizzard of 78, and I asked for a blanket because I was freezing my tail off, figuring God wouldn't even give me a blanket to stay warm in. It was crazy. But, no, Jeff. I mean, back when I was locked up back in the days, you know, we were being treated all right, but we weren't getting everything under the sun. We'd have to order a canteen, and you'd be lucky if the soda's even cold if it even gets it. Everything was warm, Jeff. Everything we even ordered during a canteen that you get delivered to yourself by the staff and everything, it wasn't cold. We didn't have no Pepsi. Everything was totally warm. You couldn't get everything they want. They get a luxury hotel here, Jeff, compared to what the other prisons are today. Put more of them up. I agree. Put them up in every state you can find with swampland, gators, snakes, everything, Jeff. Jeff, there was a movie that came out years ago. Mike could look it up. It was called Band of the Hand. It was about these 5 or 6 guys who were on good conduct, and they were actually hired to take out the drug cartels, Jeff. It's a good movie if you ever get a chance to watch it.
Okay.
It's called Band of the Hand.
Okay. Well, I got a little bit of time this weekend, Dave. I just may watch it, my friend. Dave, have a wonderful 4th of July. And God bless you, my friend. He's completely right. Really, again, look it up, please. Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, Coke, Diet Ice Machine, because they're going to have ice with their drinks. Water, apple juice, orange juice, milk. I mean, the only thing they don't serve them is alcohol. You know, like it's not, no, you're not getting a bar. Okay, but I'm just, this is lemonade, iced tea. You know, there's a concentration camp. Okay, F off. 6-1, I'm sorry. You know, it offends my dignity when I think about what my father went through and my grandfather went through. I mean, those are actual concentration camps. Caroline, by the way, the J6ers. Ask the J6ers. Tell me, solitary confinement. Many of them, forgive me, in their own urine and their own feces. The filthy cells they were put in. How many of them were told to sleep naked on the cold floor. How many of them were, not given 3 square meals a day. Forget ice cream sandwiches. Forget, Diet Cokes and Pepsi and iced tea. So compared to how the J6ers, and notice, they never said this is cruel. This is inhumane. This is dehumanizing. They never said that. What do they say? These are insurrectionists. These are terrorists. The worse you treat them, the better. But when it comes to these murderers and rapists, these illegal aliens, nothing is too good for them. Caroline in Danvers. Thanks for holding, Caroline, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff, and
Hi.
Happy Independence Day.
Happy Independence Day to you and your whole family, Caroline.
Thank you. Well, this topic, I thought of my years living in New Orleans in the 1990s. And in the early 1990s, I was introduced, I didn't go there, but we drove by a place called Tent City. And Tent City was where the overflow of prisoners to the New Orleans jail downtown, they had to go if the main jail was filled. So they lived outside the whole year. However long they were there, I mean, they would kill to be inside. Maybe they had a wait list to get inside the main jail, but they were out in Tent City. And it was literally big old tents you'd find like at someone's wedding, those huge tents with a chain link fence and guards who would be more than happy to shoot anyone just for irritating them because it was, 185 degrees in a New Orleans summer, so everyone was cranky. And, it makes this Alligator Alcatraz look like a palace. These prisoners, they had to do everything outside, if you get my drift.
No, even that. Go to the bathroom. No, I hear you.
So they were not being pampered and coddled and given ice cream, sodas, and, turkey dinners on Thanksgiving.
No, I swear, you should look it up. Only my word for it. Arrest them, end this once and for all. I'm talking about This is CNN. 8:19 now on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay. Yesterday, Pam Bondi, along with Kristi Noem, the head of the DHS and the Attorney General, now say that they are actively investigating CNN for, to me, this is treason. They're going to be investigating them for obstructing justice and for trying now to put the lives of ICE agents in very serious jeopardy and in danger. Here is now what CNN has done, and it's a huge scandal, and I hope it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. The media now is going from fake news, lying propaganda, to now out and out sabotage and treason. They're now becoming almost anti-ICE activists, indistinguishable from the thugs on the streets. So here is what happened. Several days ago, CNN was pushing a segment. On a segment, they were pushing an app. It is called the ICE Block app that, I kid you not, is used to track ICE, the activity of ICE agents, say within a 5-mile radius, say in downtown Los Angeles, as an example. And so what this app does is it tells you when ICE is active in a certain area and then allows you to tip off illegal aliens so that they can get away before ICE is able to apprehend them or detain them or grab them and deport them. Literally, the purpose of the app is to track the movements of ICE agents and to warn illegals so that ICE is unable to make their arrests or their detentions or their apprehensions. It's there to obstruct ICE. It is there to sabotage ICE. It is there to help illegals and criminal illegals I'm not just saying, illegals that came in and are living on welfare. I'm talking about, gangbangers and murderers and rapists and drug dealers and you name it, sex traffickers. So it's giving them a heads up. ICE is a mile away, half a mile away, a couple blocks away. Get out, get out, get out. The app is free. The app, you can keep your anonymity. It's completely anonymous. The inventor of the app, out of California, says, no, it was designed after I saw that Trump was going to begin deporting illegal aliens from sanctuary cities. And I said, let me invent something that will stop ICE, undermine their ability to make arrests, and help illegals evade capture and detention. In other words, the very purpose of the app is to stop, impede, and obstruct law enforcement. My friends, that's a crime. That's a crime. I would argue it's blatant treason. You're aiding illegal aliens, foreigners, some of them terrorists, invaders. And you're going to help them to stay in the country so they can continue to murder and rape and commit other heinous crimes? And all of this promoted and plugged on This is CNN. Listen now. This is Claire Duffy on CNN pushing this ICE block, this new app. And they are pushing it hard. CNN loves it. And they're urging people to get the app. Roll cut 10, a mic.
I don't know exactly how the app works.
One tech developer is pushing back with an app designed to track ICE activity in real time. It's called ICE Block, and it's controversial to say the least. CNN Claire Duffy is with us now. How does this work, Claire, and what are the legal implications?
Yeah, John, I talked with Joshua Aaron, who is the longtime tech worker who developed this platform, and he said he really wants it to be an early warning system for people about the location of immigrations and customs enforcement officers. So he says he does not want people interfering with those officers' activity, but he does want people to be able to avoid them altogether if they want. So you open the app, it looks like a map, and users can tap the map to report an ICE sighting in their area, and then everybody who uses the platform within 5 miles of that sighting will get a push alert. This is a free iPhone app. It is anonymous. Aaron says he doesn't collect any user data.
Unbelievable. I swear, unbelievable. It goes on and on. They then did another segment, how to download the app, where you can get the app. So they're plugging it. They're promoting it. Now, think about this. He's not saying you impede them. No, you're just saying how to evade them completely. That's, in other words, to escape. Which is, in other words, you're there to obstruct ICE from completing its job and doing its mission. I mean, it's unbelievable. Listen now. This is Tricia McLaughlin. She's the Assistant Secretary, Department of Homeland Security. She was on Fox and saying, look, this is a crime. What this app is doing is facilitating illegal aliens and literally putting ICE agents in danger, in jeopardy. Roll cut 10A, a mic.
I don't know exactly how the app works, but I know that the Department of Homeland Security and the ICE director, Tim Lyons, is worried about this, concerned. And can you tell us your thoughts about this? Do you think that it is meant to at least give people a heads up so that they can get away from ICE, but also concern for the ICE men and women in uniforms in addition to that?
Of course.
Dana, absolutely. Our ICE enforcement officers are seeing a 500% increase in assaults against them. And a lot of this is because politicians like AOC, like Governor Tim Walz, like Gavin Newsom, demonize our ICE enforcement officers and give them free passes. And examples like these apps are absolutely obstructing justice. What our ICE enforcement officers are doing is enforcing the rule of law. If these rioters, these activists, and these politicians don't like the law, they should change it. Don't go after our ICE law enforcement. It's disgusting, it's wrong, and it's un-American.
Someone's going to get killed. I'm talking about an ICE agent is going to get killed. Forget assaulted. Forget being attacked. Forget being punched or kicked or beaten up, or literally someone's going to get killed. Because you've got these gangs, you've got murderers, you've got these criminals who are going to know when ICE is near them in their neighborhood, a mile or half a mile away. You're setting up an ambush. Now, CNN in serious trouble, really serious trouble. Kristi Noem, the head of the Department of Homeland Security, DHS secretary, said this, quote, "We are working with the Department of Justice to see if we can prosecute CNN for what they did promoting that app. What they're doing is actively encouraging people to avoid law enforcement and block our operations. What they're doing, we believe, is illegal." Well, it's aiding and abetting criminal behavior. It's obstructing justice. I could go on and on. Now, listen to Pam Bondi. She was asked on Fox News, this CNN app literally puts a target on the back of ICE agents and is giving illegals a heads up so they can escape, evade ICE before they're able to make their arrests and apprehensions. Listen to what Pam Bondi had to say. Roll cut 10B, Mike.
Our federal agents from the Justice Department could be injured. He's giving a message to criminals where our federal officers are, and he cannot do that. And we are looking at it. We are looking at him, and he better watch out, because that's not a protected speech. That is threatening the lives of our law enforcement officers throughout this country. And shame on CNN. I just saw that for the first time when you showed it, that they're promoting that app. That's shame on them for doing that. That could hurt our law enforcement officers who are out there protecting them, protecting all of us every single day.
So let me ask all of you, because she's completely right. Pam Bondi is completely right. So is Kristi Noem. So is Tom Homan. He's now calling for charges to be leveled against CNN as well. So let me ask you. It is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's quality roofing, siding, and windows. Should CNN face criminal charges for obstructing ICE by pushing an anti-ICE app? A, yes. B, no. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in National ER. I am an A, yes, all the way on this. This to me is beyond disgusting. And it's obvious. They're trying to get ICE killed. This is going to get ICE agents killed. And now they're literally doing everything in their power to promote an app that will help illegal aliens escape capture and detention by ICE. I mean, you can't make this up. You can't. The only thing CNN isn't doing is just go out on the streets and start rioting, or just start beating up ICE agents, like these left-wing anti-ICE terrorists are doing now on a regular basis. That's the only step left. Anyway, I digress. You can also vote on X. I'm very active on X. My handle there, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, Kuhner, at the Kuhner Report, Kuhn as in National ER. Bruce in Woburn. Thanks for holding, Bruce. And as always, welcome. Bruce, my friend, what do you make of this? Did you ever think you'd see the day that a cable news network would literally promote an app that could get ICE agents killed and help criminal illegal aliens evade capture? Did you ever evade arrest? Did you ever think you would live to see the day, Bruce?
Jeff, are you kidding me? We're living in that. And cruel and
Bruce, you've got to turn your is it the radio? Or is it a speaker? But Bruce, for whatever reason, there's massive echo in the background. So if you're on speaker, please take off your speaker, Bruce. All right, let's see if we can.
Now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Bruce. Come on.
Can you hear me now, Jeff?
Yes, Bruce. Can you hear me?
So, but I can hear you.
All right, go ahead, Bruce.
I love you in a non-sexual way. The whole thing of it is, I'm talking about Alligator Alley. And I want to say, they're saying that's the cruel and unusual punishment for those illegals. What about the cruel and unusual punishment that we've had from Biden letting and Kamala letting all those illegals in here? And as far as CNN and all these guys, they're putting our guys that are supposed to protect us, not them, they're putting them in danger. Look at the firefighters that went to go rescue people and got shot. I mean, this is what we're dealing with, Jeff. It's ruining. This country is becoming a third world country. And we're not. And we're not going to we're not allowing it to happen. I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm sick to my stomach. I can't even sleep sometimes. I actually can, because I have no problem going to sleep because I work. And these people don't. And it's just that we are living in an asylum, Jeff. Totally living in an asylum. How about you?
Oh, yeah, Bruce, you took the words out of my mouth. And you're right. Look, ICE agents are going to get killed. The person who invented this app should go to jail. To me, no question. To me, CNN should also be charged. I'm sorry. This is obstruction. This is aiding and abetting. Look, enough is enough. I mean, this is insane. This is not, how is this journalism? To sabotage a president, to literally do everything you can to torpedo one of his major initiatives that he was elected on, which was mass deportations. And they're going on about ICE as if they're the Gestapo. This is the way now CNN and the media portray ICE. They're law enforcement personnel who are enforcing immigration law. That assistant, Tricia McLaughlin, was completely right. If you don't like immigration law, change immigration law. But the fact is, we have immigration laws on the books. They've been around for a very, very long time. And these illegals are blatantly breaking the law. And by the way, they don't just commit one crime. They're committing multiple crimes. And ICE is going after the worst of the worst. And you're going to create an app, and then you're going to promote it. You're going to plug it. You're going to advertise it. That is going to give away the very location of ICE agents as they're on a raid, as they're on a mission. And by the way, you can then tell them, get out, escape, now, flee, they're coming, go. It's just, you're speechless. I don't know what else to tell people. And they do it with a straight face. So, no, I'm sorry. CNN has crossed the line. I mean, they've crossed the line a long time ago, but now they've really crossed the line. So, again, we're going to find out what Pam Bondi's made of. Kristi Noem wants to throw the book at CNN. I'm with her. And the question now is, will Pam Bondi and can Pam Bondi deliver? Look, at a minimum, there should be a massive fine. A massive fine. Here's a story. Right here. Okay? Here it is. Okay, right here. Assaults on ICE agents in the last several months. I'm talking about physical assaults, ICE agents being punched, kicked, beaten up, pelted with rocks, glass bottles, all kinds of foreign projectiles, ICE agents being stabbed, ICE agents being shot. Okay, boom, boom, shot. Assaults on ICE agents up 700%. 700%. There's a target on their back. In fact, you now have, this is on social media, you literally have these anti-ICE activists now calling for ICE agents to be murdered. If you want, I can read them to you. They're saying, now, protesting is not enough. Quote, pick up a gun and kill one of these fascist goose steppers. Or, as they're calling them, Nazi stormtroopers. Okay, I thought Sandy said it very well to me. We were just off air talking about this whole CNN ICE Block app scandal that is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And she said, you know, Jeff, whatever you think about CNN, what they did in the past, the Russia collusion hoax, lying about Hunter Biden's laptop, calling for Trump to be impeached repeatedly, covering up the stolen election, covering up Biden and his clear mental cognitive decline, on and on. That was deeply unethical and immoral. But now they've crossed into the criminal. And I thought it was very well put. And it's not just Kristi Noem who agrees with me and Sandy, or even it looks like Pam Bondi. But just quickly, listen now to Tom Homan, border czar himself. Listen to what he said when responding now to CNN, actively promoting and pushing this app that can detect where ICE agents are as they conduct their raids, their exact location, and then an ability to warn illegals, especially criminal illegals, how to evade and avoid apprehension and arrest. Roll cut 13, Mike.
Response to CNN.
It's disgusting. I mean, I cannot believe we're in a world where the men and women who enforce the law are the bad guys and one who broke the law, they're victims. And look, it's already a dangerous job. You know, ICE agents are arresting the worst of the worst. President Trump committed from day one. We're going to concentrate our effort on public safety threats and national security threats. So right there, the job's already dangerous. But when you're out there tracking ICE movements and giving people a heads up they're coming, that just puts the danger at a whole new level. You know, it's only a matter of time for someone sits in hiding and waits for an ICE agent and tries to take them out. I mean, this is horrendous that a national media outlet will be out there trying to forecast law enforcement operations throughout the country. I mean, it's incredible where we're at as a nation, and I think DOJ needs to look at this and see if they're crossing that line. I think we need to send a strong message that we need to protect the law enforcement personnel.
Of course not. Yes, they've crossed the line. And look, the lines are jammed. I want to go to the phones. But look, Bruce and Woburn made a brilliant point. Look what happened in Idaho. You had this 20-year-old nut job who starts a wildfire. Apparently, I think it was his grandfather who said, well, yeah, you know, he always wanted to be a fireman. I'm like, oh, so you kill him? Like, that's how you show you love to be a fireman? And so this guy, not right in the head, with a shotgun, apparently. That's at least the latest reports that I read. And he set a wildfire, and these poor firefighters went in, and it was an ambush. And, you know, boom, boom, boom. 2 are dead, and the third one is literally fighting for his very life. And Holman is saying it's just inevitable. You know, you think we're dealing with MS-13 and Tren de Aragua and members of the Mexican drug cartels. They murder people without blinking an eye. And so it's just a matter of time. Someone's going to be waiting. They know ICE is coming. They've already been told. They've been tipped off by this stupid app that CNN is plugging and promoting. And ICE is going to come in. It's going to be boom, boom, boom. That's what's going to happen. So, look, no, this is no longer unethical, immoral, scandalous, abuse of media power. This is criminal. What they're doing now, this is what Trump derangement syndrome has done to them. Now they're openly, actively promoting what is clearly criminal behavior. Throw the book at them. Agree, disagree. Lisa in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Lisa, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Happy 4th of July. I'm a big yes on your question.
Thank you, Lisa. All the best to you and your family. Go ahead, Lisa.
Thank you. I personally believe that anyone who assaults any type of law enforcement, military, or regular, small-town police officer should get a 10-year sentence, something very serious, so that it will be frowned upon by these people. And I had a question. With this app that they have, they're able to close down the TikTok app. In what, I don't know how they do it, but whatever they were thinking, why can't they close down this app?
Well, they're looking at that. They got to look through all the legal implications. And look, the last thing, you know me, I'm not the biggest fan of Pam Bondi, but the reason why she's got to be a little bit cautious on this is you don't want to open yourself up to a counter lawsuit, not just from CNN, but from the app's creator. So you got to dot your I's and cross your T's. And so, you got to make sure you're not, impinging on anyone's First Amendment rights, blah, 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 blah. But no, Lisa, I'm with you. This app is an extremely dangerous app. I'm just stunned. And by the way, what's next? The DEA? So if they're going to do a drug raid? Oh, really? An arrest? Well, no, we'll just tip them off. Really, it doesn't end. So, when the local police want to make an arrest of a murderer or a rapist or whatever, no, we'll tip them off. Seriously, that's what it's coming to. And Lisa, look, this is the scariest part, to make it as simple as possible, okay? Since when have law enforcement doing their job, suddenly they're the bad guys? And we're talking murderers, gangbangers, rapists, and drug dealers. And they're the good guys? On what planet are we living on? And this is not, look, Lisa, if I can really be honest with you, like I'm in the confessional, I was just thinking about this last night. When I was younger, in college and in graduate school, I read a ton of conservative magazines. I still do, but then I was just like, because I got a wife, I got a family, I don't have time to read as much as I used to. But I would be spending hours and hours reading. And yes, there were crazy liberals then. It's true, there were. With the craziest ideas, like what we have today. But I'm telling you, overwhelmingly, they were college professors, at Harvard or Berkeley or, up in Madison, Wisconsin, at the University of Wisconsin, a lot of crazies up there. And so, these conservative magazines would make fun of them. Maybe the odd liberal columnist or the odd liberal pundit, you'd say, whoa, defund the police. Abolish prisons. Open the borders and just flood the country with illegals. But Lisa, what's changed is it's all over the media now. The crazies are no longer in college or teaching at university. They are, but they've spread. They now own the Democratic Party. They own the entire fake news media. And you've got CNN, and I still remember this, like in the early 1990s, mid-1990s. This is going to shock people. CNN used to be respected. No, really. Yeah, they always had a bit of a liberal slant. Yeah, a little bit. But, really, you go back like 30 years ago, you're going to be shocked. No, they really do give both sides. You'd have a Democrat, a Republican. They had a show called Crossfire, which I loved. Pat Buchanan then was the conservative voice. They had like Michael Kinsley as the liberal, and they would debate. In other words, people respected CNN. They at least attempted to do some kind of honest journalism. Holy mackerel. This is, they're part of a criminal conspiracy. That's what this is. With radical left-wing, anti-ICE, anti-Trump activists. And now they're flagrantly breaking the law. So to me, Lisa, what has really changed, and this was Black Lives Matter. This was 5 years ago, the summer of love, and you can see it. It took over the media. It took over the Democrats. It really took over the left. The hatred for law enforcement in any way, shape, or form. And now CNN. So literally, MS-13 and Tren de Aragua, they're heroes. People who chop off people's heads and burn them alive. The most vicious murderers on the planet. They're heroes, and they need to be saved from big bad ICE, from law enforcement. Black is white, white is black, up is down, down is up. Final word to you, Lisa.
No, I think you're right in everything there. I think they've been brainwashing our youth for so many years, and now those people are not in college anymore, but the ones doing it are just master manipulators. They can figure out how to take any subject and turn it into something that they can get all these people on their bandwagon. It's very scary.
Lisa, do you think, I mean, I know you kind of touched on it, but do you think CNN should be charged for aiding and abetting and obstructing justice?
Absolutely. I mean, they're threatening law enforcement. I can't think of anything worse right now.
It's incredible. It really is. Lisa, thank you very, very much for that call. John, by the way, I want to ask the audience, agree, disagree? Do you think CNN, really, should CNN now face criminal charges for pushing and promoting this app that literally gives away ICE's location? And I don't just mean, ballpark. You can track ICE as it's about to conduct a raid and then warn illegal aliens on the app, get out, get out, get out. They're coming. ICE is around the corner. Should CNN face criminal charges for impeding law enforcement, obstructing justice, and aiding and abetting criminal behavior? To me, I would throw in treason as well. Seriously. But that's me. I want to hear from you. 617-266-6868. John in Plymouth. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure, John.
Hey, I lived out in Phoenix for the better part of 20 years, and I remember when Joe Arpaio, I'm going back to I'm calling it the Croc instead of the Rock. In Florida, they're talking about how they think this is like a concentration camp. Joe Arpaio, he's the one that started this tent city stuff, and it spread to a lot of sheriffs across the country. But he had, you're talking in the middle of the desert, and it gets 110, 118 degrees in the summertime. And he had inmates. We're talking local criminals. I mean, this was a county jail, and it was called Tent City. And they used the military-style heavy canvas. They're dark. They attract the sunlight. And he used to keep them outside, and they wore pink underwear, pink boxers, and he fed them green bologna. And that was so controversial, but the recidivism rate was much lower. Now, I know we're talking about illegals, out in Florida and putting them in Alligator Alcatraz, but they're going to be treated a lot better than American criminals. And I even noticed when they were doing a camera shot throughout the Florida location, and it looked like they were going to have they got some modern medical devices there, blood pressure. They're going to be getting quality medical care, and I mean, they have.
No, John, I'm not. By the way, I didn't mean to cut you off because you're on fire. But John, really, I'm not kidding. You can look it up. Please don't take my word for it. They're going to monitor their diabetes because some of these criminal illegals, they're fat, or they're like me. They're overweight, and they suffer from diabetes. So I'm not kidding. They're going to monitor their sugar levels. They're going to get their insulin shots. They're going to be giving them metformin. I'm not kidding. So I'm telling you, if any one of them collapses, or there's a hospital right there on the spot, an emergency health clinic right there on the spot. So and look, John, just to go back to what you're saying, and I'm nodding my head. You can't see me, obviously. Look, I have family that live in Arizona to this day. My wonderful sister-in-law and my brother-in-law used to live in Phoenix, so I know exactly what you're talking about. They now have moved to a house in Scottsdale. They love it there, by the way. My sister lives in Tucson with my brother-in-law and my two nephews. So I know how hot it gets. And I know what the desert is like. And I remember Arpaio. And you're right. It worked. See, that's the thing. When you're tough on criminals, it works. Everybody in Phoenix still talks about it. I go there and they go, say what you want about Arpaio. Oh, the media ran him out of town. Oh, they hated him. He was public enemy number one. But crime, much lower. The recidivism rate, the repeat, as you put it, the repeat criminal rate, much lower. And, I remember Ross Perot. This was over 30 years ago. And he said, this was then. Things have changed. But he said then, you know why crime is so low in Texas at the time? And in many of these southern states? He goes, what, you think Southerners or Texans are just better people? No. Because in Texas and some southern states, you get caught, say, I don't know, robbing a bank or holding up a 7-Eleven with a gun or, committing armed robbery or whatever, or mugging somebody. You're out picking cotton. You're not just sitting around in a prison cell all day, 3 meals a day, twiddling your thumbs. No. A la Joe Arpaio. You're out in that heat, that intense heat, that back-breaking heat, doing back-breaking work, picking cotton. And Perot said, look, I guarantee you do a couple of years of that, you are never going to commit another crime again. I mean, unless you're seriously sick in the head. Okay, outside of, I'm talking you're just evil, you're diabolical, you're not right. But outside of that, everybody, I'm not doing, hey, I'm staying on the straight and narrow. I never want to relive that. So we can solve crime. There's always going to be a little bit of crime, but we can really create a much safer society and country if we were just willing to really punish criminals and use going to prison punishment as a deterrent. And so you're dead on. John, you're dead on. Look, I mean it. Have them make license plates. Have them pick cotton. Have them work outside in that desert heat. Believe me, you're going to see crime rates plummet, recidivism rates go down, and suddenly getting a job and holding a job instead of holding up a liquor store or a pharmacy or whatever is going to look a hell of a lot more appealing. John, final word to you.
Joe also had those the chain gangs, and he would put inmates, and you'd see them. The deputies would be out there holding shotguns, just like they did back in the 30s. They would have them out of chain gangs, and they were all attached by chains. And you know what they did? They cleaned up all the trash on the side of the road. So they were earning the keep. Our taxpayer money was paying for their food and their shelter and all of this, while we were getting something back out of it.
I'm with you all the way. Bring it back. I'm with you all the way, John. All the way. And look, and it has such an effect, on young people, on young teenagers. I'll tell you, these criminals come out of prison and they go back to their neighborhoods or their families. They go, hey, listen, you don't want to work in a chain gang. Listen, whatever you're thinking of doing, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't join a gang. Don't deal drugs. Don't commit a crime. Don't do it. Son, it's not worth it. Trust me, it's not worth it. So it has a ripple effect on society. But you see, John, the problem is Arpaio was a man of, it's like Holman. That's why I love Holman so much. He even looks like someone from a different era and a different age. He's like an old sheriff from a Western. And those were men of different character and of a different time. And the problem is most of us don't have, I'm not saying you or me or this audience, but in general, we don't have the will that we used to have, the toughness of character. Instead, all the liberals have to say is boo, and everybody runs for the hills. And that's why we have crime rates through the roof. John, thank you so much for that call. Really good call. Bill in Boston. Thanks for holding, Bill, and welcome.
Morning, happy weekend. Listen, I have to give you a compliment. You always put out a good product. You bring a lot to the table. And you, my friend, I have your phone number on speed dial.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Bill.
Hey, I want to go back a little bit and lighten it up for the weekend.
Yes, go ahead.
I was talking to some, this is tongue-in-cheek now, some TV executives. My people are going to get in touch with your people. We're going to work on a show on TV. It's going to be huge, Jeff. It's called Kuhner Conservative Channel. Okay? We're going to highlight the best of Kuhner interviews. We're going to only show programs like Lock Up, Raw Edition. We're going to show Border Wars. All right? Locked Up Abroad. That's what we're going to highlight. And you know what I love? You know what I love, Chuck? We're going to put this in prime time. You ever see the show Swamp People where they hunt the alligators? Okay. And these people, I love that show. You know why, Jeff? The Swamp People, they're all excited, the adrenaline, when they catch a 10, 12, 13-foot alligator or 600 pounds. They're so pumped up. Jeff, they're speaking in English, but it's the only show that has English subtitles. Okay? All right? Your theme song, Jeff, is going to be Only in America by Jay and the Americans, and it's going to be sponsored by Fritos. Remember the commercial in the late 60s, early 70s for Frito-Lays, right? I am the Frito Bandito. Okay? It's going to be huge. But I had to call you and ask you because I need your consent.
Now, you got it. You got it, Bill. My friend, we're going to make a lot of money. Believe me, you and me. Bill, I want you to have a great 4th of July weekend. Really good call. Very fun call. By the way, I think one of them should be Escape from Alcatraz. You remember that movie? Like this time, it's Escape from Alligator Alcatraz. By the way, did you ever see, I think it was in the late 70s when it came out, early 80s. I never forgot that movie. Midnight Express, based on that true story. Yeah, no. Oh, Mike, you got to see it. I'm telling you, it's a great movie. I forget who stars in it, but it's based on a true story of an American who was trafficking in marijuana. And it was in Turkey. He was doing it in Turkey. And he gets caught. And they find him with all this marijuana on him. And he's arrested and he's put in a Turkish jail. And it documents what this poor guy, this was in the 1970s, what he went through in a Turkish jail. I swear to you, just watching that movie, just watching it. Okay, so yeah, the movie was Midnight Express, came out in 1978. It starred Brad Davis, and Sandy made she was right, a slight correction on my part. He wasn't smuggling marijuana, which just goes to show you how I know nothing about drugs. They were bricks of hash, which apparently he was using to make heroin. See, I was much younger when I saw the movie. I just thought, oh, it's drugs. Oh, it's bad, But apparently it was heroin. That's why it was considered so hardcore. And that's why the penalty was so severe in Turkey. And so they throw the book at him and they put him in a Turkish prison. And anyway, the movie's about life in a Turkish prison. Ay. So Sandy was saying, to show you the effect the movie had on everybody, she said, my parents, the first time Sandy went to Europe by herself, she was 17, 18. She said, my parents literally made me watch the movie before I went to Europe. Like, sit down, watch this movie. Okay? You will obey the law after you watch this movie. 617-266-6868 is the number. And by the way, if you talk to legal immigrants to the United States, okay, you sit down, just talk to them, and they'll, say, hey, you like America? Yeah, we love America. And you say, listen, look, but, if, it's fine, but is there any criticism you have, like coming from where you are? And to a man and a woman, I'm telling you, it doesn't matter if they come from Asia, the Middle East, Eastern Europe, just pick it. They all say we are way too soft on criminals. Most of the world thinks we are way too soft on crime and way too soft on criminals. And they go, they're like baffled. They go, criminals get almost nothing for murder, for rape, for drug dealing, for you name it. Armed robbery is a joke. You don't even prosecute many crimes. I mean, they go, I love America. Please, I don't want you to think I hate this country, but, you want my honest opinion. You guys got to be tougher on crime. Like that we're too tolerant and we overindulge crime and criminals. And I'm sorry. Yeah, they're right. And so, something that to most people is common sense. Yeah, put them on a chain gang. Yeah, throw these crazy, violent illegals in a Alligator Alcatraz. Ooh. Go pick cotton. Ooh. To most people around the world, well, yeah, that's, you punish criminals and you deter them from committing the crime again. That's the point of sending someone to prison. It's not a freaking hotel. It's not a vacation. 617. It's not a love-in. It's not a Swedish love-in. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Laura in Salem. Thanks for holding, Laura, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
I'm very good. How are you, Laura?
I'm good. First time me calling you. I've texted
Welcome, Laura. Welcome.
So, I'm kind of wondering with all these people that want to usher in their new world order, defund the police, abolish prisons, open borders with mass migration. How do they, is that better? I'm kind of wondering, all these people that want to defund the police, have the open borders with the mass migration, how do they think they're going to fare in that world if they succeed in creating it?
Well, that's the thing. That's the frightening thing, is they can't see beyond their nose. Is that literally they can't see beyond today. That's what's really scary. That they're so disconnected from reality. They live in such a warped fantasy world. And again, I'm not trying to be insulting, but that's why I always have Bill on Sudbury on, because that's the typical moonbat mind. When you listen to Bill, well, you defund the police, Bill. What do you think is going to happen? Well, the party tells them to defund the police, you defund the police. Okay, but if there are no cops, who's going to arrest any of the criminals? Doesn't know. He can't put it together. It's really, they think like, well, if we see, the police are racist and the police are oppressive. That's what they think. So if we just defund the police, we're going to have utopia. And the prisons are oppressive and the prisons are racist. So if we just get rid of the prisons, we're just going to have utopia, because people are not going to commit crimes because they're no longer being oppressed. They have no sense of original sin, no sense of the evil in people's hearts, no sense of human nature, history, reality, how people truly behave. And so, well, if there's no police and no prisons and nobody's going to be arrested for anything, well, what stops people from, I don't know, burglarizing your home, raping you, raping your spouse, whatever, kidnapping your children? Like what? And then look at third world countries where they don't have, it's not a question of whether they want it or not. They don't have the money for police. They don't have the money for jails or prisons. So you have anarchy. So look at these places that are so poor, and they've all been socialist. So you've tried your socialism. It ran the country into the ground. Absolute poverty and misery. And now there's no money for anything. Here, Venezuela. That's what Venezuela is today. So is there no crime? There's nothing but crime. It's like survival of the fittest. It's the law of the jungle. So you're lucky every day is a struggle, A, to eat, and B, to survive all the criminals. That's why I don't want to, get too political here, Laura, but that's why in El Salvador, ask them. I urge everybody. It's very safe now. It's gone from the murder capital of the world, the capital of El Salvador, to now one of the safest places on earth. Bukele is the president. He hammered the criminals. All this guy does is put law enforcement on the street and build prisons. And he took out MS-13. He took out all the gangs. All they do now is send them to prison and lock them up forever. They almost worship the guy. Everywhere you go, there's a picture of him everywhere. He's on napkins. He's everywhere. I'm not kidding. Because they're like, you don't understand. This place was a hellscape until this guy came along and just put everybody in jail who was an actual criminal or a gangbanger. And we can live, we can work, we can go out, we can live. So they want to repeat something, Laura, that has been tried over and over and over again, and to have been an absolute disaster. So they don't think beyond today. They're like zombies or drones. They're just told what to think, and then they just mindlessly believe it. But you're completely right. They're going to live in this hellscape that they've created. Okay, best audience in the business. I know. Jeff, you say it all the time, but it's true. Listen to this. This is from 603. You can text the Kuhner Man, 70470. So, Sandy corrected me about the Midnight Express movie that, I said he was smuggling marijuana. She said, no, you're wrong. It was bricks of hash, which they used to make or turn into heroin. That's why they really threw the book at the character played by Brad Davis. This is now the audience, or at least 603, correcting Sandy. Jeff, correction on Sandy. He was smuggling hashish, but hash is made from marijuana and has nothing to do with heroin. Turkey has been the hash capital of the world for many decades. Turkish hash is the best of the best in the world. If you're into that sort of thing, just an FYI. Really? I didn't know that. I thought our hash was the best. I guess I'm wrong. 617-266-6868. Okay, whatever the point is that a dealer? Mike is asking me, is this guy a dealer? Look, this person obviously knows what they're talking about, Mike. So who am I to argue with an expert? Bob whatever it is, if you have a child, a teenager, a daughter, a son, and they want to travel abroad, show them Midnight Express. Believe me, you can rest easy afterwards. Bob in Woburn. Thanks for holding, Bob, and welcome.
How you doing? Do you think Mary Poppins, the Attorney General, is going to go after CNN?
Do I personally think so? No.
Yeah, Mary Poppins. When are you going to dump her and get a new one?
Bob, take it up with the president. Please. I'm not going to carry water for Pam Bondi. I said I'd give her till the end of the summer, but she is getting a little bit better, Bob. Look, at least she's investigating CNN. Wouldn't you agree? That's a little better.
And you know what CNN will do? If they do that, CNN will pee in their shoes. That's what they'll do. That's what they'll do. I'll guarantee you right now, you don't know how to read people. They'll pee on their shoes.
Bob, leave aside just for a second Pam Bondi. Do you think charges should be leveled at CNN? Do you think they crossed the line?
Won't do it.
Pardon me, Bob?
Mary Poppins won't do it.
Oh, I know, but leave aside whether she'll do it or not. Do you think she should?
And if she does, they'll pee on their shoes. They won't be any countersuits or anything else. They'll pee on their shoes.
Oh, I agree. No, I agree. No, you got them. They clearly committed a crime. There's no question. They look, the DOJ, if they want, they have CNN by the tonsils. There's no question. Now, I think what's going to happen is they're probably going to pay a massive penalty or a fine. Okay, good. Bankrupt them. Good. Again, remember, this is the same CNN. To me, I don't know how this is legal. That gave campaign cash contributions to Zoran Mamdani in the primary for the next mayor of New York City, the Democratic primary. So now they're handing out campaign contributions. This is supposed to be a freaking news network. Are you kidding me? 617-266-6868. Chris in Worcester. Thanks for holding, Chris, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, how's it going? I got to tell you, the only hash I like is corned beef hash. You know what I'm saying?
I was going to say hash browns. I like the McDonald's hash browns with the Egg McMuffin. But please, keep going, Chris.
Well, as far as Alcatraz, that sounds like a nice little camp, nice little cushy setup for the illegals. But that's got nothing on Caudle Nation, Massachusetts prisons. Let me tell you, you got sprinklers in the yards. They can cool down, ice water, unlimited phone calls nationwide for as long as they want, free.
Chris, come on. Chris, are you serious or are you joking?
I'm dead serious.
Oh, my God. Really? They have sprinklers? Hold on. Unlimited ice-cold water. They can call anybody around the country as long as they want?
Yeah, on our dime. Thanks to Murray Healy. On our dime. Look it up. I'm not making it up.
Oh, I believe you. Wow. Holy mackerel. Chris, now how about the meals? Do they have them catered from Spinelli's? For the criminals as they do like the illegals? Is it catered from Spinelli's, or how's the food in the prisons?
Well, they're catered by Murray. He does 3 squares a day, hotcakes, scrambled eggs, Thanksgiving turkeys, hand rubbed oil and massaged turkeys with seasoning and extra stuffing. It's unbelievable. The only thing, we have directors of security who part of their job is to go around and fluff pillows and leave mints. That's how taken care of these people are. Disgusting.
So, Chris, you're saying if you're going to do, they say if you can't do the crime, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. If you're going to do the crime, you're saying do the time in a prison in Massachusetts. Would that be in other words, if you're going to do a crime, if you're going to break the law and you're going to go to jail or prison, you're saying, Chris, do it here in Massachusetts. It's the only way to go.
Only way to go. Years ago, you wouldn't want to come to prison in Mass, but now it pays to be a criminal. And I'm serious. It's unbelievably easy. 10 toes up, fluff pillows. What else can you need? 3 squares a day. Go outside when you want. Disrespect the COs any time of the day you want. Get away with it.
Do you get a television? Can you watch TV?
Oh, let me get to the electronics. They have iPads. They're getting watches.
No, come on. Really? They give them iPads?
Yes, they all have iPads. They've had that for a few years now.
Oh, my God.
Unbelievable. Can't make this up.
Now, do they have cable TV? Like, say they want to watch a ball game, but it's only on ESPN. Do they have that as well?
They do, but I think it's basic. But I really don't pay too much attention.
The basic cable package. I hear.
Yeah, they have.
Oh, they don't get the movie channels. That's what you're saying.
Anyway, they might now. You know what I mean? Probably get YouTube and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's easy time in Massachusetts. It's a cakewalk.
Chris, great call. Really informative. Funny, but informative. Chris, thank you very much for that call. So there you go, okay? To everybody out there, to all you criminals out there, don't ever say the Kuhner man never did anything for you, okay? Do the crime and do the time here in Massachusetts. It's like a hotel. 617-266-6868. John in New Jersey. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Thanks so much, Jeff, for taking my call, and thanks to Mike and Sandy, too. Jeff, this is my first time on the show here in a long time.
Welcome, John. Welcome. You're among friends.
Oh, thank you so much, buddy. You really touched a chord with me with what you were saying there about how the police in this dream world of the lefties, how they're more and more they're wanting the police to turn a blind eye to crimes and stuff. And I know what you mean. In my ancestral homeland of Ireland, that's exactly what they're doing right now. The police have been so conditioned to look the other way for the sake of inclusiveness and tolerance and stuff that basically the criminals are having a field day. Crime is shooting through the roof, and you look for what they call the Gardaí, the police, and they're off somewhere else. They're nowhere to be found, and it's really become awful over there in Ireland. It really is a bad situation that they've and really the government.
John, can you just please hang on? You're doing very well, by the way. 617-266-6868 is the number. All right, let's go right back to John in New Jersey. He is of Irish descent. He's an Irish American, and says, Jeff, you got to see what's happening in Ireland. The police turn a blind eye to crime after crime. The crime rate is going through the roof. Criminals basically now own the streets. John, I'm just curious. Why do you think Ireland now has basically given up on law and order? Is it because Black Lives Matter affected them as well 5 years ago, and they got into this whole anti-police, anti-prison movement that is now sweeping the left? What do you think accounts for the fact that the Irish, at least for now, Irish law enforcement, Irish police, they're nowhere to be found? What accounts for the change in public attitudes in Ireland?
Jeff, you hit the nail right on the head, buddy. It's true. I mean, they really have caved. And what I think part of it, no, it's certainly not the only part of it, is the fact that the people there are also being misled by the mainstream media. They're encountering the same thing with their government and with the media as we are over here. And it really is a shame. I mean, what's going on, because I mean, there's really no reason for them to be following in the footsteps of Western Europe. I mean, basically, you have Ireland committing the same type of cultural suicide as what they did in Germany and France, just letting these migrants, I really call them invaders, running wild in their country, and there's absolutely no excuse for it. And I mean, just it's like, where do you start? I mean, it's a terrible situation, but I have to say this. There is this woman named Michelle Keane. She's probably the leading Irish activist who's leading the fight to try and take back Ireland, and she's terrific. And what I'd like to propose to you is, would you be open to having Michelle Keane on your program?
Oh, definitely. I follow Ireland closely. As you know, I for over a year I did regular hits on Irish radio. So I love Ireland. I love the people of Ireland. I love the history of Ireland. You're completely right. Everything what you're saying is 1,000% true. And what's happening in Dublin, to me, is a crime. Overrun with third world migrants. Look, in many ways, Dublin is no longer an Irish city. It breaks my heart to say it. And you're right about the crime. You're right about the drugs. You're right about the illegal immigration. You know, people say things are bad in Britain, which it is, but I'm telling you, they're just as bad as in Ireland. And so, I said this to my wife literally last night. You can ask my wife. we were talking about, I was mentioning how bad things are in Ireland. And I said, Michael Collins and Eamon de Valera have to be rolling in their graves. If they could look 100 years, like, we fought the British to get Irish independence for this? To just give it all away? Heartbreaking. So, yeah, John, I'm definitely interested. No question. Let's go to another John. John in Danvers. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, John?
Good. I can understand almost everything you're saying. I was a correction officer at a local house of correction from 92 to 2017, 25 years. And my wife is an immigrant from Portugal. Hello, Maria. She loves you, by the way. There was 11 of them, not including her mother and father, who came over here, and they had to come in shifts because they couldn't afford to bring all the kids over at once. They needed a sponsor. They needed a job. They needed a place to live. And my wife just became a citizen 3 years ago.
Oh, congratulations, John.
Yes. Once she knew about Trump, she says, I'm becoming a citizen. And she did. That's why, because of Trump. She became a citizen. And she understands about how you can just jump over a fence and, give me everything. Or jump over a fence, squat down, and have a baby, and you're here for the rest of your life on our dime. She cannot stand that, and neither can I. And in regards to the prison system, it's basically a hotel, a Four Seasons, whatever you want to call it. You just can't leave. And it's gone. And when I started in '92, you had basically nothing. You could go to get your GED and play basketball. But now, forget it. 13-inch flat panel TV, satellite TV.
That's incredible.
You could spend $400 or $500 a month on canteen. They teach you everything: typing, college courses, woodworking, and it's basically I'm going to do 2.5 years to get away from the wife.
That's
and
incredible.
They love it.
John, do they really fluff the pillows and mints? And is it that bad?
That all depends on how much your roommate likes you.
This is incredible. What, the laptops? Do they all get laptops?
That's maybe after I left. I heard that the state was getting iPads and cell phones, but I don't know about county.
And can you call anybody in the country on the cell phone plan and just talk all day, and we pay for it?
To pay for it? No, you have to pay for it. You do pay. Well, you don't pay. Whoever
I get it. Yeah. Okay. Well, at least the prisoner pays for something. Well, so John, you're saying really it's true. The prisons in Massachusetts are really like a hotel.
Yes, I know one prison that they got the yard and they put a giant greenhouse in it, so inmates can grow their own vegetables and fruits.
Boy, hey John, that's a real deterrent, man. Boy, I don't want to go through that again if I ever go to prison. John, great way to end the show. Well, there you go. And then, well, now you know why the left is going crazy over Alligator Alcatraz. They look at Massachusetts and they go, treat the illegals like this. Come on, give them the 5-star hotel treatment. All right, on that note, bye-bye.